Good morning, church. The Lord be with you. This is a week when we are considering the fruit of the Spirit, that is kindness. The fruit of the Spirit of kindness is throughout the codes of the law, even back in the Torah. There is always a concern for being kind to those who are in need, the poor, the widow, the orphan, the alien among us, the immigrant worker, or neighbor. So I find it interesting that the kindness of the community is based on the fact that God was once kind to God's people when they were slaves in Egypt. When they themselves were in need, God favored them and was kind to them and delivered them. And so because of that, God's people are called to do the same thing. These are some miscellaneous laws. Listen to it. You might have heard about the practice of gleaning, for instance. So when there is a field that is harvested, as we enter into summer harvesting time, whatever is left over is there to be picked by those who are in need, the poor among us. So listen now. This is Deuteronomy 24, starting with verse 17. You shall not deprive a resident alien or an orphan of justice. You shall not take a widow's garment in pledge. Remember that you once were a slave in Egypt, and the Lord your God redeemed you from there. Therefore I command you to do this. And when you reap your harvest in your field and forget a sheaf in the field, you shall not go back to get it. It shall be left for the alien, the orphan, and the widow, so that the Lord your God may bless you in all your undertakings. So, and he goes on to say, do the same thing with your olive harvest and your grape harvest. So I wonder if we have built into our systems of community life ways for those who are most in need. And we have. For instance, at Fort Hill, we participate in lots of local ministries and missions. And just recently, our Christian Action Ministry took some of those miscellaneous mission funds that you so generously gave and passed them along to the particular ministries in need. Safe Harbor, shelter for women and children who might have been abused or are in danger in their own homes, who are seeking shelter. And they're a resource and counseling provider for those in need. Another place where we have helped recently is we had a children's choir that was stranded basically at our local camp. And another $1,000 was sent along to house and feed them. They are an orphan group from an orphanage in Uganda. So the church is always looking for ways through the work of other agencies sometimes to bless and protect the vulnerable. Even in this time of COVID-19 and disaster, the church is being the church in the world. You yourselves helped collect food for the food pantry in Seneca recently. We don't do that just because we want to be nice. We do it because we know God has first been gracious to us, provided for us, delivered us, saved us, and we are meant to be people of redemption in the same way, passing it along and providing for others. It is part of being a follower of Jesus Christ. It's built right into the systems and the community life of God's people throughout time. And so we participate in that. And I'm thankful to be a part of a community of blessing, not only through local nonprofits, through generous people, and through state and local governments who provide for those in need in a particularly difficult time. So let's give thanks to God for those gifts. Oh God, we thank you that we get to be a part of extending your kindness to the world, that we ourselves who have known deliverance perhaps from difficulty or from our own pain or suffering, are called to be instruments of that kindness in the world. We thank you for that privilege. And we thank you that you are the one who first showed it to us, and that we might respond in grateful love. We ask this prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.